Hi, welcome to Heart of Gold. I am Paul Chartier, and we have a Grand Lady of Lexington, Phyllis Cronin, joining us on the program. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
You've been on before.
I have.
We were talking before the cameras went on about a very long phase one that's now been completed.
It has been. Phase one started from the day we incorporated, and it's taken 12 and a half years to complete. But I think what we've produced is worth the time, the effort, and the money.
For the people out there that don't know Camp Horsing Around, let's go back 12 years, probably 13 or 14, and what was the vision that you had and whomever else to say, let's have this discussion, and then how did we get to this point right now?
Well, many of us were involved with the Ronald McDonald House, so we knew about the children. You know, we knew that the kids come to Lexington for their medical treatment. And many of us had been counselors in camps. And so we thought, you know, the kids come to the Ronald House for when they have to be in the hospital, the medical treatment. Why not do something where they go for fun? So we thought about it, and we did a feasibility study and figured that there was always a need, but the need was more for groups to have a camp home. Many groups were organized and had their own programs, but they didn't have a camp home. So after some time we spent up with Paul Newman's group and doing some investigating on our own, we found out that the best thing that we could do would be build a camp where the groups could come in and take over the camp and have their own program, their own counselors, doctors, nurses, etc. So based on all of that, we had a vision of, you know, finding a great piece of property where it was out, where the kids could have a great time, yell and scream and do all those things and not bother a soul. And after many, not many, but probably 4 or 5 years of looking for property, we finally found a great piece down in Boyle and Mercer County near Perryville.
And how did you come to acquire that property?
Well, we had taken an ad in the papers, and nothing that we had looked at from that ad. We had lots of people call, and we went to see many pieces of property, but none of them clicked. So I was reading the paper one Sunday morning, and I saw this ad for, it was about 500 acres. And it said it was, you know, a peaceful setting, etc. So I called the gentleman and talked with him, and he said, what do you want to do down here? And I said, well, we'd like to build a camp for kids whose health is compromised. And he said, we got 500 acres. I said, we couldn't possibly, you know, buy 500 acres. And he said, well, come on down and look and see what we have. So several of us went down and rode up on the property in a four-wheeler and just fell in love with it. It was absolutely everything we were looking for. So that was how we got the property. So
you bought a clean slate.
But we only bought 180 acres.
And it's on water. It's got water there.
It's got a small river, the Chaplain River, and it's just deep enough where the kids can wade and catch crawdads and, you know.
Be kids.
Yeah, have a great time in the water.
And Phyllis, in the 12 years you've acquired the property, what else has happened in the phase one to get it closer to where it needs to be for the kids?
Well, the first thing that happened was we realized that we were in an area that if we were going to get up to the top of the hill where we wanted to build the cabins and have the actual camping site, that we had to have a way to get up there. And so there was the possibility of building a bridge, which we knew would be really expensive, but our architect happened to be down there tromping over the property and knocked on our neighbor's door and asked if he could walk over the property to get up to the top of the hill, and they said certainly. And when he came back, they invited him in for tea to talk about what was going up there. And it wasn't long till they were getting ready to move, so they sold us 10 acres, which meant we could drive instead of building a bridge. So that was really the beginning of getting it all together, because if the thoughts of having to build a bridge and all the infrastructure was going to be mammoth.
Isn't there a famous neighbor down there?
We had a very famous neighbor. He has
Mm-hmm.
moved and was deeply involved with us for a long time. And but since he's moved, we haven't seen quite as much of him. I know that he still thinks about us.
You can mention his name.
Eddie Montgomery of Montgomery Gentry, and Eddie has done quite a few things for us.
Yes.
We miss him.
So where are you right now with the project? What's phase 1 encompass? And I'll bring up a phase 2. Not for a 12-year plan, but whoever's involved in that, what's going to happen with phase 2?
Okay, well, phase 1 involved actually getting in the infrastructure, doing all of the things that could house the campers. So we have now finished phase 1. We have 5 camper cabins, which will hold 100 campers and 40 counselors. We have a medical building where the kids, if they're on chemotherapy, they can get their chemo. If they need to be sewn up, we can do that. We have a administration building where we moved our office down there in the last fall, so that everything is on site. So we have our office there. We have a huge pavilion, which the kids can, you know, roast marshmallows and do all those fun things. It's all open. We have a swimming pool, we have a climbing wall, we have a basketball court. We have, let's see, what did I, oh, we have our dining hall, which was the big piece, which we have just finished, and it is amazing. It will hold 200 people and has, I think, all the great things, that most beautiful view you've ever seen when you go in there. And we had an open house over the weekend. And people who came, I think, were pretty much impressed with the site because it's peaceful. You know, it's just pleasant.
And it's all about the kids.
It's all about the kids and coming there and having a good time. So.
And you have not gotten behind the 8 ball with debt. You have raised money, built things.
Right.
You've not taken out debt and then had to repay that. So really, you're ahead of the game. That you're not really.
Well, we do have some debt. We wanted to go ahead and get finished with the dining hall, and that's really the only building we owe anything on. But we do have a small debt, which we will try to eradicate here in the next couple of years. But I failed to mention in phase 1, one of the things that we did to get the kids from down in the meadow and around the river, we built a swinging bridge. And unfortunately, Mother Nature had ideas about it. And so this winter, with the rising waters and the snowfall and the melt and the ice and everything, our bridge got taken out. So we are now in the process of rebuilding the bridge because the kids loved it. The wheelchairs can get over it, so no child is denied the access to do things at the camp. So that's a real plus for us.
So with a little debt, wouldn't it be nice to put on your website and phone number that if anybody who's watching is touched by this, if they want to become a partner of yours, how would they do that?
Well, all they need to do is they can go to our website and then they can call our office number and talk with our executive director, Hank Harned, or one of us, and we'll be happy to make a visit with them or have them. The best thing is to come down there and see it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because once you see it, and that slogan that's used by a company, once you see it, you get it. I mean, it's just that wonderful.
Now, with phase 1 being finished, you now are able to have young people during the summer attend the camp.
Well, actually, we've been having campers for about the last 4 or 5 years. And the problem was we could not cook for them. You know, you have to have an approved kitchen and all those things. So we weren't able to do that, but they were able to have food catered and that kind of thing. And we did have groups that spent the night and, you know, did all the bringing in their food and all of that. But now we can do it all for them, and that makes it a little easier for groups that want to come.
Well, it feels more like a camp.
Right.
When everything is right there.
Right.
Now, explain to me, the children that come, how do they get connected with you? Do they need to apply? Do they come in groups? How is that done?
They come in organized groups. We have a lot of groups that use us already. The autistic children come in a group. Some of the cancer kids come in a group. Kids that are in recovery for the loss of a loved one, kids in hospice programs and things like that. We have now, we also take some church groups, youth groups, simply because we're filling up our spaces at this point, although that's, you know, we're more and more groups are using us, so, but some of the groups, you know, that come have very specific needs and that kind of thing. So we're recruiting camper groups. We do have people that call us and want to know if their child can come to camp. And right now we can't take the individual campers, but it's sort of been in the back of our minds that perhaps we could do what I would call an eclectic week, where we collect these children that want to go to camp if we can't connect them to a group and perhaps bring them in.
That would really be nice.
Yeah, they want to come too.
Sure.
And we understand that.
Do you have volunteers that people could come and help?
We do. We actually had a lot of volunteers up last week cleaning and preparing for campers, and also we built the last 2 cabins. They've just finished also. So there's been a lot of construction dust and dirt that we've been dealing with, but we have a lot of volunteers. And Center College comes quite frequently, and their young people come, which is very helpful. And then we have just individuals who would like to come and do various things. There was a gentleman who volunteered the other day when we were down there, said, you know, I like to do handiwork. I do change light bulbs. And so he wanted to sign up, and we said, please do, come once a week.
Let's give your website again. We've got about 2 minutes left.
Okay.
Let's give your website again so people can plug in to the camp.
It's under construction at this point, but you can go there and...
It's part of phase 1 then?
Yes, it is. It's camphorsonaround.org.
And is there a phone number that they could call or should call?
Right, 859-332-0001.
You, again, the last couple of minutes, you talked about phase 1 being over, the batons being passed. What's your strongest memory for you of Camp Horsin Around?
Well, our treasurer, Jackie Nicholson, and I were down there the day the first kids got in the swimming pool. And there's nothing like kids in a swimming pool, even though it was kind of chilly. They don't care. And that really was very heartwarming. And, you know, after all the trials and ups and downs, and we talked about the economy, you know, had taken a dip, it was very rewarding. And even though we've had a lot of ups and downs, when you go down there and see the kids having a good time and yelling and screaming and playing tag and swimming and basketball, they love basketball. It's worth every minute.
And for all the effort that you've put into it, you are, I'm sure, are very proud that this is part of your legacy.
Well, it is, but it's part of a lot of people's legacy, because you may dream alone, but you don't get your dreams out there without a lot of help and a lot of people. And it was a dream of a lot of people.
For a dream to become reality, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
It's a long time in coming. It's a long phase 1.
It is, and I don't even want to talk about phase 2.
You could become a participant or a spectator at this point, not a participant. So good for you, Phyllis. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Phyllis Cronin, you've done a great job with these kids. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back on Heart of Gold.